you will use the same process and the same guidelines to subtract mixed numbers. Again, my advice to you is to write these problems vertically so that it's a little bit easier to set up your equivalent fractions. So I'm going to rewrite this as 6 1/2 minus 1 1/3. I know that when I subtract fractions, I have to have a common denominator. So I think what my common denominator would be for 3 and 2. And although there are several numbers you could use, you always want to use the lowest because it keeps you from having to simplify your answer at the end. So my common denominator is going to be 6. So I'm going to rewrite these as fractions over 6. And I'm going to remember to carry over my whole numbers so I don't forget to subtract those. Then I go back and do the process of finding equivalent fractions. When I go from 2 to 6, I have to multiply by 3, so I have to multiply my top by 3. And I can always kind of ask myself, does that make sense? If I look at the fraction half, is that the same thing as 3/6? Well, yes, that is the same thing. On the bottom, to go from 3 to 6, I multiply by 2, so I have to multiply my numerator by 2, which ends up being 2. Now, since I have the common denominator of 6, I can simply subtract my fractions. So 3/6 minus 2/6 is 1/6, and 6 minus 1 is 5. I would want to make sure that this is in simplest form, and it is. So my final answer is 5 1/6. Just as a review, since none of these required simplifying, today, I just want to make sure that you don't forget the process when you finish an addition or subtraction problem when you need to simplify the fraction. So if you were to work through a problem and you ended up, let's say, with an answer of 7 3/9, because you can divide 3 and 9 by a number other than 1, this fraction is not considered in simplest form. So then you would go through the process of simplifying and dividing these by 3. And when you divide that by 3, you get 1 over 3, but it's not 1/3. You can't forget about this whole number over here, so it would be 7 1/3. You will add and subtract fractions that you do need to simplify fractions at the end.